Hi, can you hear me?
Nice and loud, yeah. Loud
Yeah,
and clear.
cool, thank you. Uh, yeah, I'll talk briefly about my experiences. So my name is Toby Bakari, and I live in London, and I have sickle cell. So I've obviously had sickle cell, HBSS all my life. In terms of uh, my experiences, I think the important thing for me to say is really because I'm quite lucky in the sense that I live in London, and London is a big city with a big population of people with sickle cell. So the times that I've been in London have been on the whole quite positive, and I used to go into hospital quite a lot when I was a child, and you have that continuity of care that people know who you are and they know what sickle cell is because they're used to treating it. So, as a younger child with sickle cell, I was fortunate that I really didn't have any problem having to explain what my symptoms were, what my condition was. As I get older, I was able to go to university. Then obviously that got a lot trickier. And I think in terms of instances of racism, it's only really outside of London that I can point to a huge problem, and that would be sometimes because one example that comes to my mind is that I was ill once in Bristol, which is a city a couple of hundred, 200 miles away from London, and it's obviously if you have sickle cell, kind of you need oxygen and you need pain relief if you present at A&E. And I said to this doctor, look, this is how much pain relief I need, and I would like it as soon as possible in this form, please. And he had to, he questioned me for longer than was needed about why he should give me morphine in this case. I think it was 10 milligrams of morphine at all, because it was a Friday night, and he basically didn't believe that I had sickle cell or that I was in pain. So obviously that's not an ideal experience, and I've had similar experiences maybe abroad as well when I've not been too well and had kind of lack of compassionate care. And I wouldn't say it's like an everyday of because the times that I've been ill, I've been in London, and like I say, people know the condition mainly. On the whole, that's not always the case, but mainly they know the condition, and so they kind of know what to do. But it's being in places where there's not a lot of Black people, so there's not necessarily a lot of people with sickle cell, is obviously where it can go wrong, and it has gone wrong in the past. And having to have an argument in A&E is not a particularly nice experience. But it's not the common experience, but it is an experience that I've had. But I think also there's a broader question about how much research goes into treatments for sickle cell, and I don't think it's nearly enough, and I think that's because of who has the condition. So that's a slightly broader point really than my own personal experience, but I think that's a bigger issue now because there's more people than there used to be who are living longer lives but don't have access to enough drugs to kind of improve their quality of lives, and that's because sickle cell seems to be running behind in terms of what's available to people here in the UK, what you can have access to in terms of NHS treatment, and also having to pay for prescriptions as well. Sickle cell is a condition where you actually have to pay for your prescriptions, which seems mad to me, being in the UK where healthcare is free. But again, that's a broader point. But anyway, yeah, just to reinforce some of the points that have been made from that presentation, it can be very uncomfortable experience if you're having to explain that you're not, that you know what you need in a time of crisis, but obviously if you have sickle cell then you would do. So it's challenging that perception that it's not because I'm trying to get drugs from you, it's because I know my condition and I know how to treat it. I guess is how I would sum that up.